Your mountains high, so clear and green, are home to me. Though I may stray, ahead come serene. Whate'er the future brings, our faith will see us through. May peace reign from shore to shore, and God bless and keep us true. Our little sister islands are those gems, the lovely grenadines upon their seas, and golden sun, the sunshine ever beam. Whate'er the future brings, our faith will see us through. May peace reign from shore to shore, and God bless and keep us true.
Bow our heads. Oh Lord Jesus, thank you for bringing us here this evening. Oh Lord Jesus, continue to bless us and guide us, oh Lord. Oh Lord Jesus, guide the students in this competition, oh Lord. Oh Lord Jesus, help us to remember what they have learned, oh Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mariah Robertson, for the invocation. She's from the West St. George Secondary School. You may have your seats. I would just like to make some changes on the program. For the Bequia Community High School, please note the name is Jadisa Oliver. And there's an error on the program as well. It's not St. Clair Deacon Secondary, it's West St. George Secondary, represented by Kelly Matthews. Good afternoon all, and welcome to the Zone 2 preliminaries of the Lions Club St. Vincent South Secondary School Public Speaking Competition. We have participating schools from the Bequia Community High School, St. Vincent Grammar School, and the West St. George Secondary School. We are grateful to the teachers who have been working so hard with their students, and not forgetting you, the audience, who are here to give your support. I will be calling on our Lion President to give brief remarks for you today.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson, our judges, distinguished judges, principal and teachers from the various participating schools, students, members of the media, those who are viewing this program on VC3, on the listeners to Nice Radio, listeners to WFM, and those in Canada on our Canadian station, Success Radio. So it is for me a good time, this time of year, to host the National Secondary School Flow-sponsored public speaking competition. The Lions Club of St. Vincent South has been undertaking this project for almost 30 years. This competition got started in 1976 when the St. Vincent JCs decided to use this important project to bring to the fore the concerns and issues that our young people are facing, and at the same time to develop their skills and talent in public speaking. With the defunct of the JCs, the Lions Club South took over the competition, and with the exception of 1 year, over that period, almost 30 years, we have hosted this with the support of first Cable and Wireless, then Lime, and now Flow. Same company, just change of names, over the period. Today we are hosting this competition. This is the second of 4 preliminaries, and at the end of the final preliminary on Friday, we will hear the 6 finalists who will go on the 24th of October to the finals at the Methodist Church Hall. Our sponsor has committed once again to provide the winning school with a $3,000 check to assist in a special project of their choice. They have committed to provide scholarships to the winners, smartphones to all finalists, as well as a scholarship to the second and third place as well. So there are 3 scholarships at the end of the competition. And the scholarships are for 2 years to attend the community college for those who wish to go to the community college. You may choose to go to another place after secondary school, and you could negotiate with the company to have the scholarship fund transferred to wherever. That happened 2 years ago in February, from the Mountain View Adventist Academy won the competition. This year is a special year. You see this banner up on the podium here. It's special for the Lions Club South because this year we are celebrating 40 years as an organization. We have, as you all know, have been involved in hosting public speaking. We have done a lot of other community work in healthcare, in eye care, in environmental work. We have done significant work over the 40 years. We have built the clinic in the Sandy Bay area. We have done numerous things. So don't take time to enumerate all the things that we have done over the years. So we are very happy to continue hosting this competition here today. As part of our 40th anniversary celebration, we will also be hosting on the 12th of October a health fair in Kingston where we provide medical checks to members of the public. The last week in November, we will be hosting a cocktail party at the Sunset Shores Hotel. It's only $100 if you wish to get any tickets. You are welcome. Yes, all our funds go back to the community. Don't worry. Whatever money is raised is to go back to the community in providing all kind of support to needy persons in our society. We will be having other activities in Grenada as well to celebrate our 40 years. There's our zone meeting in Grenada, and there's a new Lions Club being launched there in the St. John's Parish. I would like to thank all those who have collaborated with us over the 40 years, over the 30 years of this competition, and that includes the Ministry of Education, our various schools, our teachers who have supported us, and the sponsor, Lime. So this year we are collaborating as well with the Human Rights Association, and I see Jeannie Olivier joining us, and she will bring some remarks soon after I get from this podium. One final word I would just like to leave with you, and this is really to the schools. I believe by now every school should know that around this time, the first term of the academic year, we host public speaking, the preliminaries, and into our independence, the finals. I don't think any school, any teacher should wait even on a letter from the ministry to determine that they are going to have their students participate. I believe you only should be waiting on the topic. You should know exactly that we are going to be hosting this competition, and you should prepare your students even beforehand to participate in this competition. So there are some schools that we have contacted last week, and they are telling us they didn't get a letter from the ministry. The ministry sent out the letters. We cannot go directly to the schools. And if you didn't see a letter from the ministry, then you should call the ministry and say, I have not seen anything about public speaking. Is it happening? So I am disappointed that some teachers, principals are at the stage where it's like, if we get a letter and the ministry insists, then we do it. That is not the attitude. That is not how you approach the development of our students. So I wish to commend all of you who have participated in this year. This is a sacrifice, we know. But those teachers and principals who have denied their students from getting involved in this competition should know they are denying our nation's future of a potential leader that could stand out in our society. All the people who have come to this competition are outstanding citizens today, beginning with Colin Williams, the first winner in 1976. He's now a judge in the Leeward Islands. And I could list winners over the years. They are all doing very well in our community. So you young people who are here, take this seriously. This is a stepping stone into your future, and teachers, give your students the fullest support and encouragement to get involved in public speaking. So I want to commend you, the teachers who have worked with our students, to the principals who have supported the teachers and students in getting involved in public speaking. Let me wish you, our students today, all the best. And 6 finalists would be announced on Saturday. We may be able to get it out in the media on Friday night. And on Tuesday, the 6 finalists will come to a meeting at the Computech conference room at 3 o'clock next Tuesday. And we will brief you on the topic for the finals and prepare you for that occasion on the 24th of October. So congrats, young boys and girls. We wish you all the best and hope that you will do your school proud today. So, you say boys, young men? Okay, thank you. All the best, so over to you, Monel.
Thank you, Lion President Junior Bacchus. We would now have a representative from the SPG Human Rights Association, Ms. Oliver. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone. Honorable judges, representatives from Lions South, teachers, parents, if you are here, principals, if you are here, and esteemed members from the various secondary schools. The St. Vincent and the Grenadines Human Rights Association takes pleasure and honor in being part and parcel of the support to the schools and to the Lions Club South. If you notice on the topics that were chosen, 3 of the 4 topics for the preliminary are human rights issues. They address human rights issues. And therefore, as an association, we have no alternative but to support this year's public speaking competition. We will be here at each of the sessions, each of the preliminary rounds, and we will also be here at the finals. I would like to endorse the sentiments expressed by Lions Junior Bacchus in terms of the participation of the secondary schools. One hand can't clap these days. It takes 2 to clap. We have to be able in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, regardless of which strata of society we're from, or which issue we are addressing, to recognize that we all are stakeholders in the process. So, life is a two-way street and we have to meet each other halfway. For the schools that are saying that they did not receive information from the ministry, we have to be reminded that it is not the Lions' responsibility. It's not protocol for the Lions to send out the information to the schools. It is the ministry's responsibility. And to the students here and the teachers, particularly those participating and presenting in a while, I need to remind you that from the level of the Human Rights Association, that you are not just building your individual capacity when you participate in this competition, but you are building the collective participation of the school which you are representing, as well as the community in which that school is, and generally from the level of the nation. I wish, on behalf of the Human Rights Association, to request that those of you presenting, in a modern society, there can be no valid justification for vigilante justice. However, the laws around citizens' arrest do not help in the reinforcement of law and order. I wish you every success in your presentation. I know you have prepared and your teachers have assisted you. I wish you all the best from the level of the Human Rights Association. I thank you.
Thank you very much. We're happy to partner with the Human Rights Association. We will move swiftly along to the overview of the competition, seeing that we don't have any other reps today. Each speaker shall deliver 2 speeches, a prepared speech and an impromptu speech. For the prepared speech, each speaker shall speak for a period not exceeding 10 minutes. For the impromptu speech, each speaker shall have 1 minute to consider the topic and no more than 2 minutes to present his or her topic. Any speaker who utilizes less than 8 minutes of the allotted time for the prepared speech shall have 5 points deducted from his or her total score. Participants could refer to the prepared notes from which they can make their presentation. For the prepared speech, participants not engaged in delivering their speeches shall be absent from the room at the time the speech is being delivered, unless he or she has already delivered their speech. The organizers shall appoint an official timekeeper along with a panel of at least 3 judges. Each school is allowed to enter 1 speaker. No person who participated in previous secondary schools public speaking finals organized by the Lions Club South shall be allowed to participate. All members will be required to attend a briefing session within a week of the end of the preliminaries. So that's the overview of the competition, and I would now introduce to you our judges. Our first judge is Mr. Rondell Dixon. Mr. Rondell Dixon is one of the nation's young entrepreneurs, founder of Fashion House Caribbean, which designs, manufactures, and exports clothing. Mr. Dixon has had experience in public speaking at a very early age and was the champion of the South Windward Primary School public speaking competition. He successfully represented the St. Vincent Grammar School in a secondary school debate competition, and in 2002, as president, he led the grammar school young leaders to championship. He was a former head prefect of the St. Vincent Grammar School and recipient of the Rotary George Phillips Excellence Award of 2007. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rondell Dixon. We have Danine Jones. Danine Jones is a barrister of law of 15 years, called and has practiced law in St. Lucia and St. Vincent Grenadines. She is the senior legal officer of the NIS. She is an active member of the Girl Guide Association and enjoys reading and volunteerism. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Danine Jones. Mr. Steve Wiley. Mr. Steve Wiley has been a senior manager in the St. Vincent electricity utility business for over 20 years, retiring in 2016. Apart from his core competence in business management, he also holds postgraduate qualifications in finance, journalism, and public relations. He has special interests in strategies for the service sector and social engineering and has made presentations to a number of civic institutions. He is also a poet and the past treasurer of the Lions Club St. Vincent South. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Steve Wiley. We would now be heading straight into the competition today. I will ask Lion Sharon to escort the students. First, except for Bequia Community High School, Jadisa Oliver, she'll be going first. Second would be St. Vincent Grammar School, Laron James, and third would be West St. George, Laron Jones. And third would be West St. George, Kyle Matthews. So Jadisa, you can stay. I'll ask Lion Sharon to escort the students out of listening. You have your protocol list here. So when the students get to the podium, you will await the bell to tell you when to go ahead. The stop clock time will start after you finish the protocol list. At the end of 8 minutes, there will be a short bell to indicate that you have 2 more minutes to wrap up. At the end of 10 minutes, the final bell would give a long ring, which would mean that the time is up. The judges will disregard anything else that is said after the final bell. Good luck, Miss Oliver. This is your protocol list.
Madam Chairperson, representative of FLO, representative of the Ministry of Education, representative of the Human Rights Association South, president and members of Lion Club, judges, principals, and teachers, members of the media, listeners and viewers, my fellow students. I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batwoman. Clint Eastwood, the A-Team, Arrow, Daredevils, Superman, X-Men, Avengers, have they came to St. Vincent. Paul Stevens, a 41-year-old businessman of Burley, was burying his wife when, according to Eyewitness News Online in its May 29th posting, 4 young men who believed he was responsible for his wife's death viciously attacked him at the burial service in the cemetery. This incident occurred weeks after a mob in Peterborough nabbed and beat Simeon Francis, 33, of the abduction, attempt, rape, and assault of a minor. Vigilante justice in SVG? Yes, of course, but is it warranted? Of course not. In a modern society, there can be no valid justification for vigilante justice. However, the laws around citizens' arrests do not help in the reinforcement of law and order. Mr. Chairperson, this is the topic of concern this evening, and the above-mentioned situations are ripe examples of vigilante justice rearing its ugly head in Hairuna, home of the blessed. Mr. Chairman, the Legal Information Institute of Cornell's Law School describes a vigilante as someone who personally claims to enforce law and order but lacks legal authority to do so. Vigilantes operate by using actual or threatened force and are distinguished from people who simply watch out for criminal behavior and report it to the police. Vigilantes are often motivated by a desire to avenge a perceived harm or justice. Merriam-Webster's dictionary online describes justice as the process or result of using laws to fairly judge and punish crimes and criminals. The Cornell Institute further describes vigilante justice as the actions of a single person or group of people who claim to enforce the law but lack legal authority to do so. Mr. Chairman, the term can also describe a general state of disarray or lawlessness in which competing groups of people all claim to enforce the law in a given area. Mr. Chairman, the definitions coupled with situations mentioned above warrants that I nor any other human being or civilized society subscribe to such actions. It simply has no place in a democratic society. And if that's not enough, one needs to read the numerous reports from international organizations and news agencies on the Philippines and President Duarte's instituted drug war, vigilante justice. According to a February 2018 report by Al Jazeera News Online, it has claimed over 20,000 lives, with no distinction between criminals or victims. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, this phenomenon is threatening to take root, particularly with what citizens perceived to be a weakening and I dare say corrupt justice system, especially in relation to the abuse of women and girls. But what does vigilante justice have to do with citizens' arrest and the reinforcement of law and order? Absolutely nothing. Citizens' arrest, as defined by Duhame's law dictionary, is the forcible detaining of an individual suspected of having committed a crime by a person who is not a police or otherwise certified law enforcement officer, such as private citizen or citizens without the authority of an arrest warrant ensued of a court or law. According to Constitution.org, historically in Anglo-Saxon law in medieval England, citizens' arrest was an important part in community law enforcement. There is no law per se which governs citizens' arrest. Information from the Royal SVG Police Force Public Relations Desk, the SVG Human Rights Association, and Dr. Godwin Friday indicate that St. Vincent and the Grenadines, once a British colony, also allows citizens' arrest. In common law states that any citizen that make an arrest, provided that there is substantial evidence in hand, the prisoner must be handed to the police, who will then proceed with the matter according to the law. The policy is vague and limited in content, with no supporting structures in the laws of SVG to ensure proper enforcement. Mr. Chairman, this structure of the policy beacons several questions. How should the arrest be made? How should force used? How should evidence be collected to prevent contamination? What about the safety of citizens making the arrest? Is it possible for the prisoner to bring criminal or civil charges against the arrestee or for damages incurred or medical conditions which develop as a result? Can a criminal arrest another criminal? Would you attempt to arrest an armed murderer after you have watched him hack off another person's neck? Would you attempt to arrest a gun-wielding fool in an armed in an armed robbery of a lotto booth in Heritage Square? Mr. Chairman, I definitely would not. According to an article by Ira Robbins titled Vilifying and Viligente in the Cornell Journal of Law and Public, Volume 25, Power in the hands of untrained citizens can lead to disastrous effects for both the arrestor and arrestee. Citizens tend to act vigilante and alleged evidence and use personal vendettas to make arrests. Additionally, when groups are formed, such as neighborhood watch groups, the citizens figure that they are invisible, like the superheroes, and literally go looking for criminal activities to make arrests. Furthermore, Mr. Chairman, Christian Da Silva is an article in the Bristol Times of Queensland Report and Police and the Legal Fraternity, one of the risk of citizens' arrest after several incidents which resulted in serious damages for both the arrestor and arrestee. The bashing of Mr. Stevens in Borley is vigilante. The beating of Mr. Francois in Peterborough was an attempt in citizens' arrest which ended up vigilante. The mob was influenced by social media, a justice system that appears to deal ferociously with crimes against women and girls, and the lack of information on how to conduct citizens' arrests. Finally, Mr. Chairman, citizens' arrests can and will hinder the reinforcement of law and order in any country. However, in a well-defined limited scope, it can function effectively. Let us leave the crime fighting to the experts and assist them in any way we can to keep our communities safe. The current citizens' arrest doctrine is an outdated colonial practice which can only do more to increase crime and violence. Mr. Chairman, judges, fellow competitors, audience, and invited guests, good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Jadisa. And we will await Laron Jones to make his presentation. In the meantime, I would just like to let you know that the judges are looking for material, manner, language, and voice. Those are the criteria in which they would go by. Please welcome Mr. Jones.
Madam Chairperson, Representative of Flow, Representative of the Ministry of Education, Representative of the Human Rights Association South, President and members of the Lion Club, judges, principals, teachers, members of the media, listeners and viewers, my fellow students, a pleasant good afternoon. The Searchlight newspaper of June 1st, 2018 has as its front page story an article captioned, "Alleged Vigilantes Charged." The article relates to the story of Jatania Thomas, a 32-year-old resident of Barley. While it was initially rumored that she had been killed, an autopsy later revealed that she died from a heart attack. When her husband attended her funeral in Chauncey on the 27th of May, 2018, He was brutally attacked and beaten by a group of men comprising relatives of the deceased who were wielding sticks, stones, and a brick. Other persons at the funeral had to intervene to save him. Evidently, the attackers were not satisfied with the outcome of the investigation and engaged in vigilante justice. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic for discourse is, in a modern society, there can be no valid justification for vigilante justice. However, the laws around citizens' arrest do not help in the reinforcement of law and order. According to the Farlex Online Legal Dictionary, a vigilante is someone who takes the law into his or her own hands by trying and punishing another person without any legal authority. Vigilante justice describes the execution of this form of unlawful punishment on someone alleged to have committed a crime. According to Duhame's Law Dictionary, citizen's arrest is defined as, and I quote, the forcible detaining of an individual suspected of having committed a crime by a person who is not a police or law enforcement officer, such as a private citizen, a private security firm employee, or a store employee or cashier, and without the authority of an arrest warrant issued from a court of law. End quote. The arrested person is either detained until the police arrive or is taken to a police station and delivered into the hands of the police. I am firmly convinced that vigilante justice should never be encouraged, since it offends the constitutional right of the accused to have the court determine his innocence or guilt. I am also firmly convinced that to restore law and order in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, there needs to be stiffer penalties for convicted offenders rather than amending or abolishing the laws regarding citizens' arrest. In recent times, we have had a spike in the number of violent crimes in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In many cases, the perpetrators are never apprehended. Often, even when someone is apprehended for the crime and even charged, sloppy investigations cause many to walk free. According to Smith and Hogan, Criminal Law, Volume 10, page 4, and I quote, the sentence should adequately reflect the revulsion felt by the citizens for a particular crime. Its purpose is seen not only as a punishment, but as a public denunciation of the conduct in question. End quote. The general dissatisfaction with the justice system and its apparent failure to satisfactorily bring more criminals to justice has given birth to the recurring discussion of vigilante justice. The laws of any nation are placed there to act as a deterrent for criminals. However, if the laws are not rigidly enforced so that the criminals feel the full brunt, they simply will not be deterred. In an interview with the Searchlight newspaper in mid-2018, the Deputy Commissioner of Police said, and I quote, we are not in any way supporting vigilante justice. Vigilante justice, in our estimation, is for societies that are lawless, and the police force is in no way, shape, or form promoting or supporting vigilante justice. It has never been a part of our culture, and therefore it should never inculcate into our culture. End quote. He also said that the responsibility of proving or disproving the innocence of an individual does not lie with any community, but with the court of law. Chairperson, the Deputy Commissioner is absolutely right. The citizens' arrest law is not the problem. Vigilante justice is. The Criminal Procedure Code of St. Vincent and the Grenadines states, and I quote, a person arrested shall not be subjected to more restraint than is necessary to prevent his arrest. End quote. Citizens should certainly be allowed to apprehend and detain criminals or persons who pose a physical threat to others. However, the law does not allow for them to unduly harm those apprehended. So this should not happen. What we must ask ourselves, though, is whether the perpetrators of crimes are sufficiently punished when they are hauled before the court of law and found guilty of crimes, so that the victims and the victims' families feel that justice is served. Is justice being properly dispensed in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? The recent cases of vigilante justice are an obvious indication that the general public is greatly dissatisfied with the workings of the legal system. Take a journey with me down the dark alleys of the prosecution of sexual offenses within our court system. Recently, there has been a surge of incidents where underage girls have been sexually molested by heartless perverts. According to the statistics by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes, in a report in March 2007, St. Vincent and the Grenadines has the third highest reported incidence of rape in the world. Data gathered from police statistics indicate a recorded rate of 112 incidents of rape per 100,000 persons in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Keep in mind that these are only the incidents that were reported. The United States Country Report on Human Rights Practices for 2007 reports that the police investigated 47 cases of rape and 8 cases of attempted rape. However, only 18 of these cases were brought to trial. Ladies and gentlemen, did you know that the penalty for having sexual intercourse with a girl under 15 years of age is only 5 years, and the penalty for indecent assault is 5 years but can be as little as 2? No. We must ask ourselves, is it right that a man who emotionally scars a girl and permanently robs her of her innocence be punished with a mere 5 years imprisonment, while the young lady suffers a lifetime of consequences such as depression, anxiety, possibly an STD, post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, personality disruptions and attachment issues, not to mention the physical effects such as broken bones, damaged genitals, chronic pain, sexual dysfunction, and fertility issues? So, is the punishment for sexual offenses, as outlined in our criminal code, sufficiently severe to deter criminals? This did not seem to be the position of the enraged mob who pummeled Simeon Gabo Francois, a 33-year-old farmer of Petit Bordel, who was a person of interest in the rape of a 10-year-old girl. Chairperson, I am in no way condoning such acts of vigilante justice. However, if the mob was confident that Simeon Francois would have been adequately punished, they may have simply apprehended and taken him to the police as per the citizen's arrest law. Chairperson, in 2013, India passed an anti-rape bill to address the issue of mounting incidents of rape. This act significantly increased the severity of punishment from 14 years to life for persons convicted of rape. Why can't we in SVG adopt a similar approach to deal with sexual and other offenses? I strongly agree that ours is a modern society and there's certainly no justification for vigilante justice here. I also believe that the citizens' arrest laws can and do help in the reinforcement of law and order, so they should not be dispensed with. The stiffening for penalties for crimes which plague the Vincentian society today has the potential to make a significant difference. When criminals receive punishment deemed satisfactory to the public, our communities will no longer have to take it upon themselves to ensure the safety of our sisters, our daughters, and the citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines as a whole. Simply put, if we fix our justice dispensation problem, there may be no need for citizens who arrest individuals to exact vigilante justice. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Laron. Laron spoke for, and I did not get Judicia's time.
10 minutes, 1 second.
Thank you very much, Lion Janil. We would now have Kyle Matthews from the West St. George Secondary School. Please welcome Kyle. Again.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairperson, representative of FLO, representative of Ministry and Education, representative of the Human Rights Association, president and member of Lions Club South, judges, principal and teachers, members of the media, listeners and viewers, my fellow students. Look at this. Woman attacked and almost raped on Popular Beach. Whoa. Security guard stabbed to death. 7-year-old girl abducted and raped. Man discovers body of woman while picking limes. Madam Chairperson, I ask you to be honest. Don't the above incidents sound like a transcript out of a horror movie that we see on television? But they are not fake news. They happen right here in the land of the blessed. Such terrible crimes tempt the best of us to want to go after these criminals. According to the Farlex Free Legal Online Dictionary, the term vigilante is defined as, and I quote, someone who takes the law into his or her own hands by trying or punishing another person without any legal authority, end quote. Dictionary.com says that justice is, I quote once more, the administering of deserved punishment or reward, end quote. Madam Chairperson, I can conclude that the term vigilante justice refers to any situation in which an individual, acting alone or in a group, decides to punish someone who is believed to have committed a crime, and such actions has not been sanctioned by a court of law. It is my personal view that the very notion of vigilante justice in SVG is birthed. Start over. Okay. As I was saying, it is my personal view that the very notion of vigilante justice is birthed in the desire for revenge and punishment rather than reward or justness. Section 8, subsection 1 of our Constitution makes it clear that any person in our country who has been charged with committing a crime must be brought to court within a reasonable time. Our Constitution also says in Section 8, subsection 2a, that anyone who has been charged with the committing of an offense, and I quote, shall be presumed to be innocent until he is proved or had pleaded guilty. So I ask myself the following questions, Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairperson. The person who engaged in vigilante justice see their targets as innocent until proven guilty? Do they allow their tags to have their day in court? I guess not. What better way to get answers to these real-life questions than by looking at real-life instances of vigilante justice from right here in SVG? Madam Chairperson, my question to you. What will you do if you wanted sex from your spouse and you got rejected? Pedro Ashton answered this question by setting his woman on fire while she slept. Poor Monique Clark would have died several days after that, leaving her 6 children motherless. In May of this year, a Petit Bodel brutally attacked and nearly killed the man with blows because they heard he was wanted by the police. In that same month, a mob attacked a man in the Chauncey Cemetery as he was burying his common law wife. Imagine, people throwing headers left, right, and center in order to avoid these incoming missiles. In the May 2018 online video, the executive editor of Eyewitness News warned that we must be very careful not to accept the normalization of vigilante-style justice. He explained the inherent dangers of people attacking or beating up individuals because they feel aggrieved by perpetrators of crime. The wisdom of this warning was recently manifested when a Campden Park man chopped off the head of a villager who had previously wounded him. Madam Chairperson, the supporters of vigilante justice have maintained that such actions are justified because they believe that the justice system has somehow failed them. Now, my question to you, is it really possible that the nation's justice system can stop being blind to color, class, or creed when meting out just rewards or punishments? Madam Chairperson, on January 8, 2017, the United Nations released a report which categorically stated that the citizens of Haiti were proliferating their use of vigilante justice because of their growing, I quote, lack of trust in the country's security institution and the government's inability to process cases. There were 483 cases of lynchings or attempted lynchings in Haiti between the years of 2012 and 2015. End quote. The above empirical evidence suggests that there is at least one regional territory where our justice system has been failing. As the old people say, when your neighbor's house is on fire, wet down yours. So, is our justice system in St. Vincent in a better condition than that of our regional neighbor? The first Vincentian to head the Caribbean Court of Justice has commented about the successful execution of justice here in SVG as regards as case being dealt with at the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal. Speaking in Kingston in July this year, Justice Sanders stated, I quote, in SVG, that court sits 3 times a year handling about 60 cases each year. Over the last 30 years, the court would have handled about 1,800 cases. Of those, only 21 were appealed further to the Privy Council, end quote. In other words, our justice system in St. Vincent and the Grenadines had delivered justice 99% of the times over the years. Therefore, I believe our justice system to work. There is absolutely no need to engage in vigilante justice in SVG. Madam Chairperson, another rationale used in defense of vigilante justice is that the target persons are getting what they deserve because they are carrying out a citizen's arrest. But, according to a well-placed source in our local law enforcement, and I quote, any citizen witnessing a crime being committed can effect a citizen's arrest, end quote. Now, the million-dollar question is whether or not the mobs or individuals who are involved in the instances of vigilante justice highlighted earlier actually saw with their own 2 eyes a crime being committed. The Duhaim's Law Dictionary on this issue of a citizen's arrest says in part that it, and I quote, involves the surrender of the suspect to the police as soon as possible, as well as use of only reasonable force as is necessary to contain the individual and prevent escape, end quote. So now, Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairperson, let us see if the above examples of vigilante justice met this criteria. Did Monique Clark commit a crime while sleeping in her own bed? Madam Chairperson, I put it to you that a sleeping woman is as harmless as a purring pussycat and definitely not a flight risk. What about the man who was almost beaten to death in Petit Bodel? The mob never actually saw him doing anything with or to the girl. It is clear that they used much more than reasonable force in detaining him. Well, to me, Madam Chairperson, I guess they were trying to arrest a karate master such as Chuck Norris or even Jackie Chan. Next, the vicious attack on the grieving common law husband in Chauncey. News reports indicated that the deceased had been found dead by her common law husband. The rumor mill didn't waste any time in suggesting that he had killed her. However, the police quickly released the results of her autopsy, which said that the deceased's throat was not cut and that she had died from a heart condition. Therefore, the cemetery mobsters had no legal grounds for their actions. Madam Chairperson, since our laws stipulate that any citizen's arrest must be made while the crime is being witnessed, is it clear that such an arrest is only legal if done at an immediate moment, not days or weeks later, as in this case? Madam Chairperson, I trust that you will agree that in all of these illustrations of Vincentian vigilante justice, the specific criteria set out by our laws have not been met. Consequently, these public attacks were in themselves acts of criminal intent. This is evident because the police and other legal authorities have since launched investigation and even brought charges against persons who have found taken the law into their own hands. For example, the chopper in the last illustration actually has been sent to prison for his crime. This is most regrettable, Madam Chairperson, because If done properly and legally, a citizen's arrest can indeed be a valuable tool in the reinforcement of law and order in our modern Vincentian society. Finally, Mr. Chairperson, you too might have also seen many of these recent acts of vigilante justice on social media videos. So now, my question is to everyone. How is it possible we can be eager to use our phones to record violent acts and crimes in progress, yet we cannot find the moral courage to call for help or indeed make a citizen's arrest? What does this really say about our values and priorities as a Vincentian society? I think it is time that our legislators consider making the fulfillment of violent or life-threatening acts without trying to help a criminal offense punishable by fines or prison time. Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, here's my speech. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Kyle. We would now move on into the impromptu section of the competition. Once again, students, the judges are looking for material, manner, language, and voice. You will approach the podium in the same order. You will select your topic from me and hand it to me. I will read the topic to the audience. The first bell would ring to signal the start for you to prepare. You are allotted 1 minute. The second bell, you will begin to speak. You are allowed to speak for 2 minutes. There is no penalty if you speak for less than 2 minutes, and there's no need to reread the protocol list here. So we have first Jadisa Oliver from the Bequia Community High School. You come, please. Jadisa would speak on the internet. Come, Jadisa. She will speak on the internet. You have your thing to write your... No, I don't have it. Okay, the internet.
With protocol already being established, good afternoon. My topic is the internet. Yes, we all use the internet. It is used for many things and used for a lot of researches. It is very convenient and useful, especially for students who have things like homework and assignments to do, so that they could go online and research data. The internet is something that everyone uses, and it is very important to our society. I thank you.
Thank you, Jadisa. The time she spoke for was
43 seconds.
Okay, thank you, Lion Janelle. We would have Mr. Laron Jones. Remember, you have 1 minute to prepare. You have anything to write on? Mr. Jones would speak on cancer. Cancer.
Protocol having already been established. Good afternoon. My impromptu topic is cancer. No one knows the causes of cancer. However, it seems ubiquitous in our modern day society. It's a big bad bully that destroys the immune system and the body and causes death and destruction all over. Recently, I have had an encounter with cancer, as last year in March, I lost my dear uncle due to bone cancer. However, thanks to advancements in modern technology, there have been many movements towards the eradication of this seemingly invincible disease. Hopefully, in time, we would be able to defeat cancer as a whole. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Laron. We would now have Kyle. Okay. Just fold it if you need to. Sorry, if it, put that one inside there. Okay, Kyle's topic, the job I would like to have. The job I will like to have.
Protocol has been assigned. My topic is The job I would like to have. Good afternoon. Well, as someone like me, the job I would like to have is to be an engineer. And yes, engineering sounds like a hard work, but as the quote say, hard work brings success. So, engineering is not just a skill that you can easily pick up, such as those on the streets, like the conductors or whatever. This job, you need skills and you need studies, because there are a lot of different parts or aspects in engineering. For example, you have the civil engineer, you have electrician engineers, you have the, I forgot to call them, but you got the idea. And there are a very large variety of these engineers. My specific engineer that I would like to be is a mechanical engineer. To be honest, I do not know why, but just the name of mechanical engineer and the hard work that I have heard about it just makes me want to go after this job. Hey, thank you.
Thank you very much, Kyle. Kyle spoke for 1 minute, 23 seconds. Thank you, Lion Janiel. Okay, at this time, I'd just like to remind everyone that we have Zone 3 tomorrow, same place, same time. And the topic tomorrow is the incidence of sexual abuse of minors in the country is a disturbing phenomenon. It is simply a symptom of moral decay. We would now have certificates of participation being handed out to the students by Lion Michael. I would just like to remind everyone that on the finals for the public speaking competition would be held on the 24th October 2018. The venue would be at the Methodist Church Hall. However, on Tuesday, the announcements for the finalists will be made at Computech Conference Room at 3 p.m. So I'd like to have some assistance with the certificates from Lion Michael. Okay, first, we would have Jadisha Oliver of the Bequia Community High School. We'll have Mr. Laron Jones of the St. Vincent Grammar School. And we would have Kyle Matthews of the West St. George Secondary School. Thank you, Lion Michael, and thank you so much for the participants today. We'll now move right on to the vote of thanks. On behalf of the Lions Club St. Vincent South and on my own behalf, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all the participants for today's preliminary round. A big thank you for Mariah Robertson, who did the invocation for us. Thanks to our Lion President for his opening remarks, and from the representative from the Human Rights Association, Jeannie Oliver. I would also wish to express our gratitude to our esteemed judges. Thanks to our timekeeper, Lion Janiel and Lion Sharon. Principals, teachers, and students, thank you so much for the support you have given to the participants representing your school. To French's House and the media, we acknowledge your support. To my fellow Lions, thank you all for your hard work and involvement. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to state that the Lions Club St. Vincent South are most grateful to our sponsors, Flow, and to the participants of our competition. We thank you all for being with us, and it has been a great pleasure. Do get home safely.
Yeah.